The Turf and Touchdowns podcast coming to you off the back of another winner. We're going for 3 straight winners on this podcast. A nice value winner last week. Myself, Luke Elder, alongside Tom Collins. Where once again, Tom, we're celebrating and we're appreciating because we saw greatness in Sovereignty last week.
Yeah, what a horse. What a great horse. I mean, a buyer speed figure of 115, that puts him up there with the best 3-year-olds there has ever been, really. And I can't think of a horse in my lifetime that I've watched over in the US that is better than him. I said over the last year or so that he is the best since. And I originally said Justified. Don't know why I said that because I don't think he was that good, to be honest with you. Then I said American Pharaoh, who was a very good horse. Now I don't really have a horse since probably 2003, 2004 that I watched that I think was better than Sovereignty at this stage of their career. So, yeah, he has taken another step forward. He was very, very impressive, albeit against a weak field, and he got the job done. We should also mention that your extra tip that you gave with Bookham Dano also won, so very well done. And not only did you get the winner, but you provided some great value to the people at home as well.
Exactly. We put him up at 11-4, Bookham Dano. You put him up on your service at 15-8 as well, so we got value there. Yep. He went off, was it 10-11?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, he went off short, but great ride, Paco Lopez. I won't say that too often, but Paco was absolutely fantastic. And well done to everyone who followed us in back home and got the 11-4. I saw 5-2. I saw people taking 2-1. It was all fantastic stuff. Well done for backing Bookham Dano. We'll look to do the same again this week. And do you know what we're going to look to do as well, Tom?
Go on.
Get some more subscribers. Because if you aren't subscribed, hold there. You're doing it all wrong. If you subscribe, you'll be notified when we put stuff up. We've been going live recently on the channel with a fantasy football listener league draft. We did a preview of Saratoga last week on Saturday as well. There is plenty to work through. So if you do like horse racing, if you do like NFL, subscribe to the Turf and Touchdowns podcast. Leave a comment down below with your fancy for this week's race, which is, Tom, the Pacific Classic. And look, you might be thinking, I don't want to stay up late at Del Mar. Do it. This is the first time properly that we're going to see 3-year-olds take on older horses.
Yeah, it's a really good race. We don't usually preview races from the West Coast. Sometimes we'll stray over there if there's, nothing on the East Coast due to time difference between the UK and the West Coast of America. 7 hours, 8 hours, depends on what part of the year we're in. But I feel like this week we had to go to the Pacific Classic, had to go to Del Mar for this race because it really is a corker. 3 fantastic horses facing off. There are good races at Saratoga. It's the final week of their meet. There's also the Nashville Derby down at Kentucky Downs. $3.5 million up for grabs there with European interest. But this Pacific Classic was just too good to overlook.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's due off post time at 2 a.m, officially Sunday morning. The question is, Tom, I'm the late guy on Sky Sports Racing on Saturday night.
Yeah.
That's a late night for me.
It is, but it means you're definitely not going to miss the race, which is a positive. You're hoping that they jump off at 2 a.m. for those people that maybe don't watch Sky Sports Racing. The usual cutoff on a Saturday evening is 2 a.m. before we go to different shows. So, you are hoping they jump off on time because if they're off late, you're going to be a tired man on Sunday.
I'll be tired anyway. But the latest that I've been on Sky, I think was about 2:30-ish. I think the Bing Crosby 1 year was late. But you're on this Saturday as well. So are you going to stick around till 2?
No.
You're like, whatever the guys want me to do, I'll just do that. It's like, you're part-timer, ridiculous. The betting over in the UK for this contest, take advantage of it now. Like literally, if you're watching Turf and Touchdowns podcast right now, take advantage of it because there's so much value for you to take. There are firms out there that have got journalism at 11-10. The majority of firms at the moment have got him in 7-4. Again, that is potentially value. Myself and Tom will be going through this race in just a moment. Nysos is best price 2-1. Fierceness is 4-1. 16-1 and bigger the rest. It looks at a 3-runner contest, but when Fierceness is in a race, Tom, there's your pace.
Yeah, you'd expect, especially drawn in gate 1. There's no other option really for Johnny Velasquez here. Fierceness generally is a horse that wants to break well, sit on the shoulder without taking any bumps at the start, maybe not lead outright, but sit right on the pace, then capitalise around the home turn, come there swinging and kick clear. That is his MO, and that's what's happened in the majority of his top-level wins. In this race, there seems to be other speed. I don't think Midnight Mammoth will allow him to get an easy time of things against the rail. Fierceness in 1, Midnight Mammoth in 2. But Nysos surely is going to be up on the pace as well from 4. And, it wouldn't be outlandish to say that Tarantino wants to be towards the front too. Look, I think Fierceness and Nysos are the two biggest speed horses in the race, so I expect those two to pull slightly ahead of Midnight Mammoth and Tarantino. But Fierceness is not going to get it all his own way. Before we go into horse by horse, I will say that this pace setup to me screams journalism, but I know that others disagree.
I think the pace setup's a little different to what you say. I think Nysos will sit handy. I don't think he'll try and race Fierceness early on. If you've got a horse like Fierceness, just take the lead off of him. Let him do the hard work for you, and then you can sort of try and pick things up later on. But look, we'll start with journalism because he's the one who the early markets have appreciated. He's, like I say, 11 to 10 in a place. He's 7 to 4 generally. I am excited to see how the 3-year-old form does stack up against older horses. Like I say, we'll get a view of that here. The thing with journalism is that he's been a little bit laboured on his last couple of starts. I know the Preakness is harsh to say that, but he didn't travel perfectly throughout the contest. And obviously, last time around, it was very hard work for him to get up at Monmouth.
Yeah, I think Labour's probably a little bit too harsh on him. He's a horse that always shows up to me. He runs to his level, and he is a very, very talented horse. If you go through his career, he's 6 from 9 so far. He lost on his debut, finishing third when he was very raw, inexperienced. It just wasn't the right spot for him anyway, and it was quite clearly just used as a stepping stone to gather some experience, to get him more mature mentally and physically. So you cannot read into that race. His other two defeats have come in the Kentucky Derby and the Belmont, both of which he ran great races to finish second behind Sovereignty. We've already sung the praises of Sovereignty, being this absolute superstar 3-year-old, which he is, and it's not outlandish to say what I said earlier, that he is the best that I've seen in the last 20, 25 years or so. So for journalism to finish second to him and not lose any other race since his debut, is this not just another fantastic 3-year-old in the crop? We've talked about him all year being a really top-end horse, and the fact that we even gave Sovereignty a race in those two contests suggests that he is top level. I think he is going to be taking this in his stride. The fact Sovereignty's not there, the best horse over the distance. He now faces two very good horses in Nysos and Fierceness, but both of whom have questions to answer, which I'll get to when we talk about those in more detail. I think he's the horse to be. I'm more than happy with the 7 to 4 on offer. Obviously, if you've only got the one account with that firm that offers 11 to 10, you're hoping that he drifts back out. But I wouldn't be surprised if he was sent off a warm order. And I'm taking him in this race. I'm going early with my pick. That is a spoiler.
I don't think you wanted to do that. I think you accidentally said it and had to commit to it.
You're right. But I was happy to commit to it. I was more than happy to commit.
That's Dong, confident. Oh, too confident. Look, I respect journalism massively. He's been a fantastic horse to watch this year. I just worry about. I know everyone over in America has stupidly been saying Sovereignty isn't raced enough and he's avoided tasks. No, he hasn't. He's raced so many times this year. Journalism has done the same. He's raced a lot of times this year. I just wonder whether getting beat by Sovereignty and running his absolute face-off in the Kentucky Derby, then going into the Preakness, which was a harder race than it should have been, and then getting beat by Sovereignty again before going to the Haskell. I wonder if that's beginning to leave his mark, because the last two races, he hasn't travelled as well as we know journalism can. You watch him in the Kentucky Derby, he travelled like he was the best horse in the race, honestly, until you look back and then see Sovereignty quickening by. But he is the 3-year-old in here. He is taken on said older horses. And Nysos, I mean, for me anyway, Tom, he's the most interesting of the older brigade. I know Fierceness is in here, but whether you trust Fierceness, that's one way or another. I don't think we've seen Nysos over his best trip yet. He's run over exclusively 7 furlongs and a mile since his debut over 6. He, to me, looks like or shapes like a horse that 10 furlongs will be perfect. This is not far from that trip, and it's the furthest he's ever gone. So I think we might be about to see a personal best from Nysos.
See, this is where we disagree, and this might be why we've come down on different horses here. I don't love the trip for him, and I think he has to go and prove himself. He was very good over 7 and a mile, but surely if Bob Baffert always thought that he was capable of this, he would have run him over the trip a little bit earlier. Now, I understand as a 2-year-old, you're not going to rush a horse to go to a mile and a quarter like he's going to get in the Pacific Classic. So I've no problem with that kind of the 3 runs that he had that year. Then he had the injury. He was off for 15 months. It was supposedly a minor injury. Then it became a major injury. Then he was off for over a year. He came back. He ran a great second over 7. And his 2 subsequent performances have been strong. But why did he not go up to a mile and a quarter? And why is he waiting to this race? I suppose maybe his fitness wasn't there or Bob wasn't super confident in the distance. I'm just not 100% sure about it. What we can say is that he was regarded to be one of the best horses in training as a 2 year old. He was talked about as being the second coming, really the next superstar on the stage, and he hasn't done much wrong. I'm going to give you my other reason for taking him on here. What has this horse beaten? Now, I know you can only beat what's put in front of you, but in his victories, his 5 victories, or his 4 victories,
Mhm.
the 2 best horses he's beaten have been Stronghold and Dr. Venkman. Now, they ran 1-2 in a grade 2 last weekend, so they're not terrible horses by any means, but they're not elite performers. His best race in terms of the horses he faced came at Churchill over 7, and he didn't win. He came dead heat for second in that race. He did beat Bookham Dano and he beat Mulliken, who were 4th and 5th. But Bookham Dano was probably the best horse in the race, just not given the best ride or the most efficient ride. And I don't know how good Mulliken is anymore, to be honest with you. So I don't really know what he's beaten. And he's facing horses in here, Journalism and Fierceness, who are just way better than any other horse in terms of natural talent, Bookham Dano aside, that he's faced. Mindframe obviously beat him, and there were no excuses for Nysos there. If Mindframe beats Nysos, why can't Journalism or Fierceness beat Nysos?
You know, the other week when you went for good cheer over nitrogen,
Hmm.
do you remember what I said at the end of the podcast when I was disagreeing with you?
Not really.
Wow, that's rude. I said I think you've got this race all wrong.
Yeah.
I think you've got Nysos all wrong. I think that Nysos. Honestly, I think Bob Baffert's taken the easy way out. I think he's gone. Look, we've been beaten in a good race. Let's just go to California and win a few little races, and then we'll aim towards the Pacific Classic. The run at Churchill obviously is his best effort. I mean, he was beaten, but it's quite clearly his best effort. As you say, Mindframe won the race, who is arguably the best horse around in the classic division. Obviously, Sovereignty's still got a bit to prove. You can argue that though. Sovereignty's still got a bit to prove against older horses. Mindframe's beaten them. I wouldn't argue it myself. Banishing was in there. Obviously, I know it was Charlestown, but it was the Charlestown race the other day that he came out and won. Bookham Dano, we know what he did because we were all on him last week. And Mulliken, as you say, what he's capable of now, I don't know. He doesn't look the same horse. But that was good company. And then, like you say, he went to California and he's beaten the 2 best Californian horses around. Dr. Venkman being one who managed to win the Pat O'Brien. And then last time around, he beat Miramadi. I think he looked an out and out. I mean, 10 furlong horse, honestly. He was only really getting going at the line. But now is his big task at Nysos. I think this trip will suit him. And this is the ideal race to try him in because you got not quite course and distance of the Breeders' Cup Classic. But if you're ever going to find out, Tom, this is it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I could have got this horse wrong because I was just stating facts. What I do agree with, though, is that he has drawn well, he's worked well, and he has that potential to improve. So I do understand that side of things. And I understand why people may come down on him. Just to me, he's not done anything to warrant me selecting him at 2-1 or sub 2-1. I'd prefer a horse in journalism. And back on your point about Mindframe, he is very talented and he probably is the best older horse in training right now. But I would actually have journalism over Mindframe in the classic. Maybe I'm wrong by saying that. Mindframe's a very good horse, or maybe at least just level. And if I like them level, then I've got to have journalism over Nysos here. I have Nysos further down my pecking order until he finally proves that he can actually do it. That 15-month layoff is a concern for me. Not that he's not fit, because obviously he's had the 3 runs since, but when a horse suffers an injury that seems to be ongoing and very substantial, not that we know exactly what it was, it can leave its mark. So I would love Nysos to win. I would like to see another star performer on the stage, but I'm yet to be convinced about him, especially when he faces very good horses like he is here.
Yeah, he's got work to do, but I think he is capable of that work. And then we'll mention the horse who is by far the most established in this race, Fierceness. Honestly, I must confess, before I went back and watched the Breeders' Cup Classic of last year, totally forgot he was second. Like, literally, I was like, Fierceness, he bombed out at Delmont. No, he ran great. He ran really well. I just wonder whether he's the sort of horse that the peak comes once, maybe twice a year.
Or it's already happened,
Mm.
and that could be a case because it seems like he's kind of leveled off, doesn't it? He's won 3 Grade Ones already in his career. He's won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, he won the Florida Derby, and then obviously he won the Travers last year in very good fashion. But where's the next high with Fierceness? It seems like we're now just creating excuses for defeats. In the Met Mile, I was saying, and I'll give some context for this in a second, but I was saying it took a bump out at the start, which cost him the race out of the Wilson Shoot at Saratoga. But actually, he did run second to Raging Torrent, who's a good horse, but he's no, He's no journalism sovereignty or potentially Nysos. So I was given an excuse there. The reason I gave the excuse is because we covered the Travers a couple of weeks ago. It wasn't the Travers, was it? Was it the Jim Dandy?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Jim Dandy. And I liked Fierceness for that race. And I was
No,
given the excuses.
The Whitney.
Whitney, sorry. And I was given excuses as to why I like Fierceness. And then he went to the Whitney. He travelled all over the field. And what happened in the straight? I mean, he just absolutely capitulated. Now, I understand that he was on a fast pace that day. And obviously, the closers came through, Sierra Leone being the eventual winner. But it was a disappointing end to the contest for Fierceness. And look, I don't want to crab him too much because he's been a very good horse. And I love the kind of optimism and the ambition from Mike Rapoli, the owner, to send him to the West Coast. It makes this race fascinating, even more so than if it was just journalism v Nysos, which would have been a good race in its own right. But I just can't have him. And from gate one, he's going to need everything to go his way. And I just don't see it from gate one either. So I have to take him on, though I do love his participation in the field.
100%. I love how much Mike Rapoli backs his horse as well, because
Yeah.
he still acts as if Fierceness is the best horse around. And he's proven that he's not, but back your guy. I love it. I just don't trust Fierceness, honestly. He's a sort of horse, and you get the horses that come around like this every once in a while, Tom. Wouldn't shock me if he won by 5 lengths on the bridle. It wouldn't shock me if he came last at the same time.
Yeah, I suppose. Like, if he did win by 5 lengths on the bridle, I'll be very frustrated that he didn't do that in the Travers in the Whitney last time. Why do I keep saying the Travers? It's because he won it last year. But yes, I would be surprised. Actually, I'd be quite surprised if he did win. I'll say that. He has the talent, but he's just not performing at that level. The level to beat two very good horses. If there was no Nysos and journalism in here, if it was a slightly weaker Pacific Classic, he would be a short price favourite, and I probably would expect him to win. But against better horses, I just can't have him at the moment until he proves he can go and beat them.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. He's 4-1 at the moment anyway, so you are getting a bit of value on that. You might be sat there thinking, God, you guys have covered these 3 horses in depth. There's still 5 more horses to go through. Go on then, Tom.
Yeah, quick roundup here. None of them are good enough to win. Obviously, their participation in the race is great because we have an 8-runner field. Hopefully, they will stand their ground. Some people will be interested in each way plays, show bets if you're in the US or whatnot. But none of them have winning credentials. I suppose Midnight Mammoth is the best of them, running second in the Hollywood Gold Cup, but that form's nowhere near good enough to contest. Paco Lopez rides indispensable. Interesting jockey booking over there. Other than that, I don't have much more to give. I suppose that they make the pace angle a little bit more interesting with a couple of these wanting to be forwardly placed. That's about it.
Yeah, they shouldn't be good enough to. I mean, one of them could finish third because
Yeah.
normally when you've got horses, you've got a big 3, one of them will underperform just because of the way that the race plans out. So maybe that could happen. But at the same time, I wouldn't be backing any of them to finish third, which brings us nicely onto the state of your hat. What I've just noticed it.
What about it?
It's just it's not red. It's not
Is
nice.
that this is legitimately the color it came in? It looks like it's sun faded, but it's like some sort of dark charcoal. But the meaningful part is this part here.
It's about as nice as the performance Liverpool put in the other day. It's like it's a bit underwhelming,
But
but
does the job?
gets the job done and protects your hat, protects your
All
head.
that matters. If a hat protects your hat, apparently.
Tom's actually got another hat on underneath there. Right, selections. You kind of ruined it earlier on, Tom. Who are you going for?
I feel like we've both given away. Obviously, I did it first, but I feel like we've both given away our standpoint here. I am with journalism. I like the 7-4. I will be betting him at that price, and I hope it stays around for me to tip the horse at 7-4 on Saturday. I think he's the best horse in the race. I think he gets the best pace setup in the race, and it would be a fantastic form boost for Sovereignty. We're already raving about him. Everyone is. It's not just us who have been number 1 and number 2 fanboys in his club. Everyone is now raving about this horse. We know that Sovereignty is fantastic. If journalism goes and beats Fierceness and Nysos in this race, winning the Pacific Classic, that gives another form boost to Sovereignty, and it will make the Breeders' Cup Classic something else when it comes to November time.
Yes, it will do. And I think Nysos will also be in that lineup because he's my selection in this spot. Honestly, it's one of the races that me and Tom, we mention it every now and then where we differ slightly. But, I mean, journalism was my second pick. Was Nysos your second pick?
Yeah, for sure.
So we kind of each see the race slightly differently, but only if you squint real hard. But we see the race kind of the same. But I think Nysos should be favourite in this, honestly. I respect journalism, but I just want to go and see him. I want to see him now put in a wow performance, because doing what he did and beating Gosger in the Haskell was fine. It was a nice performance. You got the job done. It was like Tom's hat, unimpressive. But I want to see him go and do something real big. I want to see him do something again back in California. Whereas Nysos, his last two efforts, albeit he should have been winning those races 10 times out of 10, he still went and did it. And that was off the back of one of the races of the season at Churchill Downs. So I'll take Nysos. Journalism for Tom. Team forecast?
Yeah, why not? Look, I do think they'll run 1-2, unless one unless one of them dramatically underperforms, which just hasn't been what either of these horses have done so far in their career. So yeah, hopefully they run 1-2. Hopefully we can have a thrilling finish. One of us will be celebrating, one of us won't. Hopefully it'll be journalism in the winner's circle.
That is it for the Turf and Touchdowns podcast this week, the Pacific Classic, albeit, Tom, you should subscribe because it's about to get real exciting on the Turf and Touchdowns podcast. NFL is back in 8 days, 9 days, 9 days.
Yeah, I can't wait. I really can't wait. We're going to get those NFL picks back. It's been a long time, obviously, since we've had a proper betting NFL podcast. We've had plenty of good videos during the off-season. Hopefully, those people who have watched them have enjoyed them. But we're 8 days away from the first game of the season. Just prior to that, we'll obviously produce our preview of that game. We had a very good season last year, didn't we? We had plenty of winners. We both ended in level stakes profit across the whole campaign. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the NFL season. Coupling NFL bets with horse racing bets. What a time to be alive.
Exactly. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. And there's a lot of exciting stuff to come in regards to the NFL season as well. So click subscribe down below, leave a comment with who you think will win the Pacific Classic, and get involved in the discussion on the Turf and Touchdowns podcast. From myself and Tom, we will see you on Saturday night on Sky Sports Racing, or you can just go and watch another one of our videos. We'll see you there. But